I want to do a very quick comment here from Kaysun, who says, I'm with Nick Shirley. Stop the money laundering of American taxpayer money to the corrupt Ukrainian government. Screw Kalin, the Kamala Harris ball sucker. This is such offensive language. First of all, my friend Kalin is doing real journalism in Ukraine. And we have these individuals in the Russian bot factories in the safety of their sort of St. Petersburg fortress, equipped with chat GBT and translating tools. Well, they get some of it wrong, but Nick Shirley is a really strange boffin, and he put out a Twitter which was utterly abhorrent, with photographs of cars around Kyiv and saying, this is what your dollars are paying for, there is no war here. And I had quite a lengthy chat with Kalin, which is posted, I think, on my channel. And then we discovered that Nick Shirley had posted another video on YouTube in which he itemized the appalling suffering in Ukraine, and he used the footage of being taken around a hospital, taken to Bucha, talking to particularly a mother outside a site where lots of Ukrainian flags are spread out to represent all the Ukrainian soldiers who've been killed. And the mother was tearful, and Nick Shirley gave her a hug. It was a very touching piece of film. It was very impressive. There was a lot of voiceover, and the lip sync didn't always match what was being said. Clearly, I think Nick had second thoughts and revised his footage in line with the excoriating response which his first Twitter video had caused, particularly in Ukraine. And I spoke to a number of people, and they were all talking about Nick Shirley's video. And this thing that he put up on YouTube, this longer video, Kalin and I did a sort of watch together, and I was going to post it. I've decided not to, because Nick Shirley has now put up another Twitter video with more ridiculous claims about money laundering and stuff, and clearly he's out for clickbait. And he realized that the YouTube video, where he was highlighting the truth, simply didn't cut it, and didn't get the sort of views that he was getting when he pandered to the Republican, the MAGA obsession, with the idea that America is being diddled by Ukraine. It's not. Ukraine is fighting very hard to maintain its integrity against the onslaught of a vicious neighbor that has invaded its sovereign space in defiance of an accord, an agreement that was made by Russia to protect Ukraine, that Russia would never invade Ukraine, and in return for that, Ukraine surrendered its nuclear weapons, its arsenal. Russia doesn't keep its word. Russia lied. Be in no doubt about that fact. And within 10 years of that treaty being signed, Russia, under Putin, was already planning to annex Crimea, to annex Ukraine. That annexation effort started in earnest in about 2013, with the infiltration in the Donbass by paramilitary organizations, some of whom were affiliated to Prigozhin's group, the Wagner, some of whom were not. It was supported very much by those mad individuals who espoused the idea of a greater Russia, which extends incidentally into the middle of Poland, to the river. And this is pernicious. At a time when Russia ridicules Western countries for their former imperialist past, Russia has itself embarked on an imperialist present campaign. And it doesn't stop with Ukraine. This is the point. It's now manifest in Uzbekistan. I've been talking to people in Uzbekistan who are telling me about the threats being made. And I've been able to chase those up and find the threats being made by current members of the Russian Duma, the Russian parliament. Aggressive threats. I can remember speaking to members of the Russian Duma while I was living in Moscow. I remember speaking particularly to a man who looked very much like a toad, Pyotr Tolstoy, who seemed to think that I would be entertained and amused by his bile. There's sometimes there are some toads or some frogs which cannot be touched because they are too poisonous, and Pyotr Tolstoy is one of those. He started off by telling me that a Jewish group had desecrated Russian Orthodox churches, and I said I thought not. And then, having been rebuffed, he didn't stop there. He sort of invaded my personal space and leant right in and said that the gays were being targeted by Russian legislation, which would promote traditional family values. And the LGBTQ community was out of control. The LGBTQ flag was overwhelming the traditional family. And I just thought, this is a deflection, a nasty deflection. And we've seen it all before in the 1930s, in Hitler's Germany, in Mussolini's Italy. It had other names then, but it was the same sort of thing. You fling your bile against particular communities on the assumption then that you can get on with your wider land grab. And that's exactly what's happened in Russia. And all countries around Russia need to be wary of Putin's passion for land grabbing. So Kaysun, I presume Kaysun is Russian, and it would be nice, I suppose, if he could get Kalen's name right. And I don't quite know what a Kamala Harris ball sucker is. I mean, is this some sort of I don't know, some sort of industrial image. It's nonsensical. And can I do anything to stop these horrible messages turning up on my YouTube channel? Not really. Not really. And even if I found tools to hide people from the channel, but they still seem to turn up. It's just I don't notice them. What's the point of that? So I have to indulge this sort of nonsense. But I don't intend to remain silent about it. And I will call people out as and when. You've been warned.